Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
This is going to be such a wonderful show because if you haven't heard of Boca Bound yet, you're going to. And we're so fortunate to have Richard Peskin, who is the music and lyric, who does the music and lyrics, and Bonnie Logan. Without her, we wouldn't have anything. So she's the author. And one of my favorite people, David Bakelman, who is the CEO of the PAP Corps. Now, we're on Facebook Live, so you're going to see partially some people, a little bit more of another as we get going. Let's start off with our author. So what made you do this, Bonnie?
Well, sometimes, they say that wonderful things come out of things that are not that wonderful. And people pretty much know at this point that in 2017, we were down here, my husband and I went out to dinner, and I took a very bad fall in a day just like today, in this kind of weather. And I crushed my femur, and I was laid up for over a year. And couldn't do anything for myself, and it was pretty bad. So one day, my dear friends Richard and Karen Peskin came over to see me, and Richard said, I've got a couple of songs here. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. You need some intellectual stimulation. You need something to do. So they gave me these songs and said, come up with some kind of a story. See if there's a story. There must be something here. And I said, okay, fine, whatever, not thinking that I would. Well, who would know at that moment that was just what the doctor ordered, because I laid in that bed and thought, well, you know what? I think this is an opportunity, and this is an opportunity for me to talk about or write about all the things that I see as a person who has lived a very long time, and put them together in a way where people can understand them, appreciate them, and relate to them. And Richard's couple of songs were an inspiration for that.
So my question, though, before we talk to Richard, have you written other things? I mean, is this your profession?
This is my very first writing for theater. I've always been a storyteller. My husband and I spent an entire lifetime building a business, and I wrote a lot for business. And I love to tell stories, but this is my first time writing for the theater.
Amazing.
So
first
I
time,
learned something about myself at this age, found a passion, which now it is a passion, that I might never have known existed had this fall not occurred.
Okay, so Richard, you're the cause of all this. Richard Peskin, so not only did you do the music and the lyrics, is this something that you've done before?
Well, nothing on this scope, actually. I wrote my first song when I was 10 years old, and I had it copyrighted, and the name of the song was Nadine. And as it turns out, Nadine is the lead character in our play, so it's kind of come full circle for me. I primarily wrote songs for the family. As they were growing up, I would write songs for anniversaries, for tennis tournaments when my daughter was in a tennis tournament to inspire her. But, music's been a passion. I always felt it got me out of bad moods. It elevated me. I listened to certain, composers over and over again. And I always thought, wouldn't it be neat at some point in my life if I took my background of writing all this music and created a piece that had some coherence to it. And Bonnie and I got along, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so now the big thing is I have a friend here, David Bakelman, who is sitting here as CEO of the PAP Corps. How did you get into this, David? I'm sorry. Excuse me. Dave. Should I call you David or Dave?
David's fine.
David, okay, sorry.
Anita, first, thanks for having us in. And when I first met the Boca Bound group, probably about 2 months ago, they wanted to have a charity component of Boca Bound to give back to the community. And all of the Boca Bound team has been very involved with the Polo Club chapter of the PAP Corps. So we had a first meeting, and I was so impressed with their commitment to getting this play off the ground over the last 2 years, and then to have the charitable component. So it was a natural fit to really help us get the message out about the PAP Corps and really support the marketing and communications efforts of Boca Bound.
Well, knowing you, I know how much fun this has to be for you because I can see that these two people are so with it. They're so exciting. One thing, though, that you said, Bonnie, when you were talking about this is at your age. I mean, you know, you're young, yes, in our
Thank
community.
you.
So why do you see yourself as
Well, I
as
know
older?
it's just a number, and people tell me that all the time. And every day I get up and I don't feel like the number because I consider every day a gift. And as long as we all have our health, whatever age it is, that's the main thing. The reason why I said that is because the story really focuses on what happens to a woman later in her life. She is 65 and she begins to come to grips with and deals with issues that really they can happen at any age, but for her it happened to her at this age. And she we look at and examine her relationship with a best friend, her relationship with her children, which is pretty contentious and is certainly relatable to a lot of women my age and younger, and romance at this point in your life. And we look at all of those issues, and none of this, I didn't really have to do any research. I've been awake all these years, and I've watched what's happened to my friends, to my family, to people who are around me, my neighbors, and that's what this story is about, and that's why we're so excited.
Okay, so Richard, my question is, how did you find the WIC to do this? I love the WIC Theater. I am thrilled that you're going to do it there.
Well, things that have a way of just working out sometimes in certain circumstances. And our show is kind of a serendipity type of thing where a lot of things have happened kind of through no great shakes of our own, but through good luck. In our case, we were working with a gentleman who we thought might be our general manager at the time, and he was a close associate of Mrs. Wick, and he introduced us to Mrs. Wick, and she was very, very happy to have a presence in the community with us, knowing we were Boca residents and had written the play, and she was very receptive to the idea, and it was really a very good marriage. We got the premier theater to book us, and I think we're delighted to be able to present our play in the best possible venue.
Absolutely. When you think about it, a new author and, a new show and having it at the WIC. And let's just, before we forget, we want to say when it is and how people can get tickets. So why don't you do that for Richard?
Sure. Play's opening September 19th, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. And it will have single performances that night, a single performance on September 20th, that Friday, 2 performances on September 21st, a matinee and an evening one, and the last performances are on September 22nd at 2 p.m. matinee and a 7:30 p.m. evening performance at the WIC.
Okay, so now David, tell me what David Bakelman, the PAP Corps is the most fantastic organization. Of course, since you've come here too, it's just going crazy, wild, it's wonderful. What are you doing? Are you getting everybody from the Polo Club to come, or how are you going to do the whole group, I guess, everywhere you can find someone from the PAP Corps?
Well, the PAP Corps, we were founded 67 years ago, and what we do, our mission is to fund cancer research at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center at University of Miami. So we're 22,000 members strong. So in support of Boca Bound, we're getting the word out about the impact of the play in the community as a whole. And then the Boca Bound group is, we're fortunate enough to receive a % of the proceeds. So what we're doing is we're rallying 22,000 members to come to the play and support Bonnie and Richard as they go forward in the endeavors outside of the September performances.
Okay, so this is really exciting because I'm sure it will be a success. It just sounds like from what you've been talking about, Bonnie. Then what are you going to do now with your laurels? Are you going to find other theaters or what?
Well, can I just want to add,
Sure.
if I may, Anita,
Okay.
one thing about PAP Corps, because you really cannot say enough wonderful things about PAP Corps. PAP Corps, our partnership with them means so much to us because we believe that through Boca Bound, we are contributing to the cure. And we've all known someone who has had cancer. Cancer can hit anyone at any time. We've had it in my family. I just lost a very, very good friend to glioblastoma. And over the course of 2 years, no one should go through something like that. And our relationship now and our partnership with PAPCOR is helping us to make sure that we add to fighting the cure. So I feel great about it. I know Richard feels great about it every day that we have this partnership, and we're really honored to be with them. I can't say enough wonderful things about it.
Okay, so now I want to, and I agree with all that you said. What I want to do, though, is I want to get back to Richard. So, Richard, how does someone decide? Did you have to have the story first before you can write the lyrics? I'm sure, but the music. Are you a musician by trade? How does this come about?
I'm actually a doctor by trade.
Oh, you're throwing all this at me here.
And another reason why our PAPCOR relationships, extremely.
What is your specialty?
I was a family physician in Coral Springs. My
Okay.
practice was in Coral Springs, and you ask about how the thing got together. It was kind of a marriage there, where I went over to the Bonnies with a couple of songs I've been playing around with, a couple of which had to do with country club living, and a couple of which had to do with feelings of romance or feelings of end of life, putting things together at the end. A song called Finally, for example. And Bonnie kind of rolled with the majority of the theme from a few songs that we rolled out that night. And then as we started doing it, we bounced off each other, and it became a play. Step by step, so to speak. No big steps, little steps, until things just kind of burgeoned.
Well, Bonnie, when I think about all this is not play games. This is serious stuff.
This is very serious.
And not only, it sounds like not only is this a play, but it has a very big morality in this.
It does.
And I think we have people watching now. They just keep coming into this. So, oh my heaven. Nicole Peltz. She lives in Colorado.
Oh,
but these are
wonderful.
people who just get onto Facebook.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi. But I want to just ask you, so when you were laid up, you were very sad, miserable,
Very.
you were worried.
Very.
And how did the characters come out, though? You talked about the woman who I think was a lawyer. And
One's
then
a lawyer,
then she
another's
finds
a best
Gert.
friend. Right, well, her best friend.
And then there's another person.
There's another. Well, there's a lawyer. There's a best friend. There is a manager of a club. There is a romantic interest. There are 6 main characters, and then we have 6 ensemble players. We have 2 amazing actors who are the children. And
This is a full stage.
That's a very important thing you're bringing out, Anita. I just want you to know that when people come to the WIC on September 19th through the 22nd, they are not coming for anything that was just put together. This presentation, this is our premiere. This will be everything that you will see on Broadway, only smaller. We have amazing, amazing people. We have we have a full band. We have 8 people on stage.
No kidding.
We have Michael J. Moritz Jr., who is a Tony winner, who is our music supervisor, and Chad Larrabee, who is our director, who is a Broadway, New York director. We have pulled all the stops out to make this dream come true at this point in our lives. And thank you to our wonderful spouses, to my husband Cliff, and to Karen, Richard's wife, because without having that kind of support, you could never go through all of this. So from a personal point of view, this is it. This is something for us that we every day we get up and we live, we breathe, and we think about.
So
people are gonna be happy.
if this, I don't say if, when this success appears, you're now on a whole new path. You know this because now you've bitten the bullet. You've bitten
Right.
it. So, but let me just tell you, knowing Marilyn Wick, she wouldn't allow anything in her theater that wasn't first class, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of
Very
assistance
true.
from her with her beautiful costumes and things that are going to be perfect. So that even makes it more important. Hi, Marilyn. I know that you're,
Hi, Marilyn.
you've taken this on, and Marilyn, her daughter Kim, they are fantastic
Kim is
people.
wonderful.
And the theater, though, is the right place for this because it's not too large, and the people who do go there, we're going to be doing all the PR weekend besides just doing this, because it sounds like it's such a win-win for everyone.
We are so grateful to Marilyn and to Kim, and it's such a wonderful thing for us to be in a prestigious theater like the Wick. So we could not be more appreciative.
And it's rare that we get a whole set of musicians on stage. She
Yes.
hasn't been doing that because it
Right.
takes up too much room, but you've been okay with the room for the musicians and
Yes, everything's going to be perfect. It's going to be gorgeous.
So
It's going
now,
to be something they have not seen before.
I don't know what you're doing here because you should be there. Most people who've of course written plays and done, they you can't even get them. They just live, eat, breathe right there at the theater. Is that
Well,
what
we
you're
do.
doing?
Well, rehearsals start August 20. So we're getting a little bit of a breath. We just put the final touches on the script. The music all just came in its final today. And I said to my director, I said, Chad, now what do I do? And he said, take a deep breath. Breathe. Now you should just breathe. And so it's given us the opportunity to now meet people like you and spend time with David and get the word out so that everybody sees it. But I will tell you that everyone will be on an emotional roller coaster. And of course, feeling everything is how we know we're alive.
So who chose the actors? Was it you or was it Richard? Both?
Well, we had 2 sets of auditions, and I think Bonnie, myself, Cliff, and Karen all had a certain amount of input. And to answer your question, is the director and the musical director chose the cast because they just knew what to look for at a different level. We saw certain things, maybe we liked some, maybe we didn't, but they saw this one's going to be a team player, this one's going to be cohesive, and they just were able to evaluate the cast, in a very, very...
Here's where I have to disagree with you a little bit. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit because the one thing that we have had all through this process is collaboration. And we had our Michael and Chad and the 4 of us were there during auditions, which was a trip in and of itself. We'll come on another time and talk to you about that, how wonderful that was. But Chad handled it so professionally. We had never been to one before. But every time someone finished up, we would then talk about that person. Sometimes we would know immediately, yes, that's the person. Sometimes let's see what else happens. And we talked and we talked. And the ones that would definitely not work out for certain reasons, our director would say, it's not going to happen. Michael would say, that's not going to happen. But I would consider it a collaborative process. We could never have done it without them.
Yeah, that's very good that you can appreciate that, because coming from a theater world that I did, I just couldn't imagine how they chose the people. But I always say, how did you find that person? Now, are you also using local actors and actresses?
Yes, absolutely.
See, that's good. That's what people try to do down here.
And Neva Ray Powers, our lead, who plays Nadine, she's done 4 Broadway shows, but she now lives here in West Palm. So all of our actors live down here. So they're all Florida people. We really wanted to make sure, and our musicians are all Florida musicians. So,
well, I think the whole name Boca Bound, that's going to attract a lot of people who live in Boca, as well as Delray, Boynton, and everywhere, actually. But that name is going to make Boca Raton very important as you take this on to Broadway.
we hope so.
Right?
Yes.
We didn't tell you this in
From
English.
your lips to God's ears.
When we do it in Arizona, it's going to be called Tucson Bound. When we do it in California, it's going to be
You're
called...
kidding, of course.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
and
But it's interesting because when I see theater, a lot of times the people on stage, they do a little bit of bringing in the audience, talking about where they're located.
Yes, they do. What you're saying right now brings back an early conversation that I had with Michael J. Moritz. And before he agreed to come on the team, he said, I have one question for you, and your answer is really going to help me determine whether I want to be a part of this. And the question was, what do you want from this show? What is it you really want? And I answered him the same way I'm going to answer you right now. I want it to be the most wonderful premiere that any group could ever have. I want everyone to come out of those performances and say, yes, I feel so much better. That's what I thought. I feel great about this. Or I have this one, now I know I can do this or do that. If we get that, then for me, we've done it. We've succeeded.
We have another person, John Album, and he wants to know if he can come on video. I'm not doing that because it messes things up. They're just going to sit and listen. Okay, it's your turn now, David. David, this is, you kind of landed into something golden here.
We're really fortunate. It's opportunities like this where we can educate people of the impact of cancer research and the funds. Annually, we donate more than $3.6 million to Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. What's really groundbreaking is that Sylvester just received their NCI designation a week ago, which is their National Cancer Institute designation. What that does is it puts Sylvester in the top 4% of cancer centers in the entire country. We don't know in Southeast Florida what a resource Sylvester is, but that's part of the partnership that the PAP Corps is really excited about, that people will learn not only about the PAP Corps, but more importantly, that what kind of resource we have at Sylvester. And just about everybody's been touched by cancer, whether it's themselves, a family member, neighbors, that you want to go to the best place for treatment, and the best place for treatment and a resource and patient outcomes is Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. So again, the ability to partner with the Boca Bound team to get the word out about both organizations, meaning the PAP Corps as well as Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, is just tremendous for our organization to grow the number of volunteers, but more importantly, the dollars secured to impact cancer research going forward. So I can't thank these guys enough for this true partnership and really the excitement and passion, not that they only have for the plays that are going forward, but as importantly for what they're doing to impact patients and people who don't think they'll have cancer, but you never know in the future.
You do have new PAP Corps people sitting here. I don't want to call them people. They're going to be major donors because they're donating, of course, from their play, which is great. Richard, let's just tell everybody how they can, they're all sitting there. I have more people watching. So a new musical, September the 19th to the 22nd. Now, let's see, should they just call the WIC? How are they going to, let's see, you have a website called bocaboundmusical.com. Is that what they can go to?
Well, they certainly can do that. bocaboundmusical.com, and there's an easy way of getting tickets there. They can call the WIC Theater directly at the telephone number which is 561
995-2333, I believe, right?
2333.
Yeah, so let's do that again. 561-995-2333. And I have to tell people, and just appreciating the WIC, Marilyn is a wonderful woman. She does a lot of things for charity, and I'm so glad, David, now you've gotten her involved because she should be great as a PAP Corps member because she is very good. But she also, her plays, I don't know if you've been to any of her shows. Yeah, I mean, they don't stop. They're so great. So it is quite an honor, even though, I know that you feel what you've done is the best. She wouldn't do this casually, and I know that.
Oh, no.
So she really, I can't wait to talk to her about this, and I know it's going to be super. Now, do you all have children? So are they excited? Tell me about your children first.
Well, my kids are in Arlington, Virginia, and they are all flying in, of course. It's so funny because we just did, and Nashville, and we just posted a video we did last week, and my younger son who's 30 said, "Wow, Mom, this is really serious." And so I thought that was really cute. But they're all very into it. My grandchildren are into it. Everyone's very happy. Not only that, we've got our friends, and this is really something, who both Richard and Cliff and my friends from Polo who live in other places like Toronto are flying in for the show.
Oh, it's fantastic.
We met people in Italy this summer. They're all flying in for the show.
Wow, this is fantastic.
It's wonderful. We have had such wonderful feedback and support from all of our friends.
Well, it's
and
great.
family.
I'm so happy, and I hope we can get you back on so we can see how things are going. And I appreciate all of you being here, and I can't wait. I'm just kind of as high as all of you in a way. It's going to be wonderful. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
all
so
coming in.
much, Anita.
Thank you, Anita.